Hello, everyone. For my occupational injustice social media campaign, I focused on transportation barriers in rural communities and how these barriers can limit access, and I will go into that in just a minute. So, again, the topic that I chose was transportation barriers in rural communities. And this can affect so much, and it's so much more than just getting from one place to another. It's a social determinant of health that influences, like I said, whether individuals can attend medical appointments, receive therapy services, continue with their job, participate within the community. And in many rural communities, people face challenges like long travel distances, limited public transportation options, financial challenges, and even harsh weather conditions. These barriers can affect older adults, individuals with disabilities, those with chronic health conditions, and when people cannot access these services and occupations that support their health and well being, it becomes an occupational injustice. To design my campaign, I first completed the occupational injustice analysis to better understand the issue and identify contributing factors. I reviewed evidence from peer-reviewed research, AOTA, and the Rural Health Information Hub. That was very beneficial, as well as other reputable sources to ensure the information that I got was evidence-based. So I researched, I planned, I started designing my posts, I started posting, and then I put that out into the public and engaged with others. I also identified my target audience and used health literacy principles to do that, and we will go into that in the next slide. Next, I identified my target audience, which included rural community members, caregivers, healthcare providers, community organizations, and local leaders, and I developed a 5-day Facebook campaign that gradually built awareness. Many older adults I have found use Facebook, so I felt that I wanted to target community members. I have a decent amount of friends on there that I could share this message and share this occupational injustice with them. Instead of overwhelming them with too much information at once, I focused on presenting one main idea, why they matter, available community resources, occupational therapy's role, and the way we can advocate for change. I designed each post using health literacy principles and limiting the amount of text, using plain language, visuals, as well as interactive questions that encourage people to engage within my content. Like I said, Facebook is commonly used by many people and many rural residents, so I felt it was appropriate. Evidence-based strategies that I used, I relied on evidence from course readings as well as literature. Research shows and demonstrates that transportation barriers continue to contribute to delayed medical care, missed appointments, poor management of chronic conditions, and decreased participation in meaningful occupations. The OTPF also emphasizes the importance of community mobility, as well as used the community development theory within my campaign. Rather than focusing on individual responsibility, I focused on collaboration. I think the more we can collaborate and use others, we can create a sustainable solution, which aligns with occupational therapy's community-based practice models. How I honored the lived experiences was, instead of portraying rural residents as passive recipients of services, I acknowledged their strengths, the resilience, the existing community networks that we have, as they already rely or may rely on volunteer drivers, neighbors, churches, senior centers, and local organizations to help meet those transportation needs. So here you can see my slide. So I have day 3, 4, and 5. I had a poll on each one of these, and I will go into that in my next few slides. But tried to keep it pretty simple while still emphasizing my main points and having a different message each day that pertained to this occupational injustice. The overall response for my campaign was positive. I felt like I didn't have a lot of interaction with the polls like I was hoping for, but I did not have any negative reactions, and I think hopefully this helped increase awareness to some that maybe hadn't thought about the impacts that transportation can have, or not having transportation for those that live within rural communities, and maybe stirred the conversation about solutions and how we can help to aid in this. You can go back to the slides before this. Otherwise, the successes: I used evidence-based information. I kept it easy to read. I honored that not everyone understands healthcare, and so I tried to keep it basic in order to increase awareness across all populations. And then I tried to keep it interactive. Some changes I would make within the future, if I was to run this again or do a similar campaign, I would do a poll that's interactive where they can press the button rather than having them comment an emoji. I didn't get a lot of interaction, and that was something I was really hoping for. I did have people message me off of the post and thank me for what I was doing, say it was interesting, but I didn't have that within the post. It was just likes. Maybe would shorten my post a little bit each day. Along with the poster, I also had a blurb above it, kind of paragraph talking about it. And then maybe would just change my poster layout. Maybe it wasn't as visually appealing as I initially thought it would be. So conclusion and the next steps. I reached out to one of our community leaders, and we kind of got to talk about the transportation within our area, as well as like maybe some needs of the community. I truly took away from this experience that OT extends well beyond our hands-on treatment with our clients, and how much we can do that maybe we don't even realize we're capable of. I also was reminded that advocacy is a part of OT. Sometimes I feel like I forget that just because it comes so natural, and that's who we are as OTs, as well as how these small conversations like I had with the leader can create meaningful changes. If I was to continue this, the next steps I would do is to partner with healthcare organizations, transportation providers, senior centers, and then again with community leaders. More is better. The more people we can have working on this, it's going to create that sustainable change. As far as recommendations, like I discussed on the last slide, I want to develop partnerships with healthcare organizations as well as transportation providers. I think the more the merrier when it comes to this. If we can provide more to them and get this out there, the better the solutions are going to be. If I was to select one or two outcomes that this project would focus on, and I was gonna do this, I would say occupational performance and health and wellness. It's going to help to improve the healthcare access, community participation, independence, and quality of life. And then finally, my goal is within 1 year, Sanford Health, which is the place of my employment, will establish a formal partnership with at least one local transportation provider working to increase transportation resources for patients with mobility barriers to improve healthcare access and occupational participation. Thank you for listening, guys.